afternoon and welcome to NTV At One. My name is Dann Mwangi. Now, journalist Maribe will spend 10 more days behind bars. This is after ruling earlier today that by the Kiambu Principal Magistrate Justice Kituku, directing that Maribe remain at the Gigiri police station pending investigations into the murder of businesswoman Monica.
This court has gone through the contents of the affidavit as shown by Chief Inspector Otieno, and I'm convinced that compelling reasons do exist to warrant detention in custody. So in the interest of justice, I've granted the prosecution 10 days to detain the suspect at Gilgil police station. I've also directed that an advocate should be allowed access while she's in custody, and that she should not be forced to record any statement in the absence of an advocate. Further, on the issue of a safety which has been raised by Mr. Kangwe, of course that is not a curious application, and the court will take a judicial notice of the fact that recently actually a suspect was found dead in a police cell. So I cannot say it is above expectation that the court should direct the safety of the respondent should be guaranteed while in custody. So those are the orders of the court.
All right, and that is the update, and there's still more that's happening, and we are going to be joined by Seth Olale, who's coming to us live from Kiambu. And in this bulletin, we're also going to be having Nuru Abdulaziz, who's going to give us a brief on the EACC report in regards to corruption perception and information about corruption, as well as Sharon Baranga, who is coming to us live from KICD, where the Principal Secretary to the Ministry of Education, alongside alongside Magoha, was speaking about the counties that have been marked out for on suspicion of plans to have some illegitimate activities around the exams. But first, let's cross over to the county of Kiambu, where Seth Olale is standing by to give us a brief. And Seth, we saw that Jackie has been told to remain in custody, and the same has happened to her neighbor, Brian. Yes.
You're very right, Dan Mwangi. Actually, the other suspect, Brian Kasaine, whose case what just happened here moments ago, and he too will remain in police detention at the Langata police station, to be specific. Remember that so far the police have lined up 3 suspects connected to the murder of businesswoman Monica Kimani that happened at around September 20th at her Kilimani apartments. And so this means that the 2 suspects in this particular case, who are Jackie Maribe and Brian Kasaine, who is actually her neighbor, will be brought again together on the 11th of October. Remember that they have been detained for 10 more days, but now that means that they were supposed to come here on 10th October, but it happens to be a public holiday, so it means they will be brought the next day, which is on 11th. So basically 11 more days in police custody. Police say that this will enable them further investigations, because they are saying new detail, new information is emerging in regard to the murder. And remember that we also have another suspect. Actually, detectives are calling him the prime suspect in this particular case, Mr. Joseph Irongo alias Joey, who is currently in police detention at the Mudaiga police station. He was brought here last week on Wednesday at this particular courtroom, and the application was made by the prosecution. They wanted more time, more days, in order to grill, or rather question further, the prime suspect. And according to the prosecution, they say that they have made quite some tremendous progress in terms of the length and the scale of investigations, because so far they have 3 suspects. They're also saying that they have witnesses in the case, and one of the arguments for the prosecution was that they needed more time. They needed to detain the suspect because of other interested parties in the case, and they feared that if the suspects are released, then they're going to interfere with witness statements, or rather accounts. And so it is a win for the prosecution today, but we'll get to know what happens in 10 more days to come. As I mentioned earlier on, Jackie Maribe was represented by Lower Katwa Kigen, who argued that the prosecution didn't need such a long time, like 10 days, to hold his client. They actually Katwa Kigen wanted Jackie Maribe to be brought back to court on the 3rd of October, which is this week, but Principal Magistrate Justice Kitiku ruled in favor of the prosecution, meaning it is D-Day 11th October here for the hearing of this particular case. Which specific charges are going to be raised against the suspect, we will know as days come by Dann Mwangi. But that is all we have right now here at the Kiambu Law Courts, where 2 murder suspects in relation to the probe of Monica Kimani were brought here, but right now they are currently at the Gigiri Police Station for Jackie Maribe and Langata Police Station for one Brian Kasaine. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Seth Olale, for that brief, and we shall be expecting more details from you later on. Now, Education PS Bello Kipsang says the government is ready to deliver clean national examinations. The PS, who was in the company of the chair of the Kenya National Examination Council, met school heads over measures to stamp out cheating in the 2018 KCPE and KCAC examinations. Now, Sharon Baranga joins us with the latest from the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. Sharon, what exactly has happened? What is the brief you can get in regards to the schools that have been pointed out as having plans to rig, or rather to cheat in the exams?
Thank you, Dan. For close to 3 hours, education stakeholders led by Education PS Bello Kipsang and the chair of the Kenya National Examination Council have been meeting school heads and regional coordinators on education on how to ensure a credible national examination is delivered to the country. From the meeting, a number of issues came up, and one of them was that students are trying to cause disturbance so that they are allowed to use mobile phones in their schools. An issue that the PS responded by saying that they are not going to allow to be blackmailed or cowed by some of the students. Another emerging issue was that students hope that those who registered as boarders, they'll be able to sit for the national examinations as day scholars. The PS also say that if you registered as a boarder, then you'll have to sit for the national examinations as a boarder, even if it means some of the classes have to be converted to dormitories. This is after some of the schools lost some of their dormitories in the unrest that was witnessed between the month of July and August. And another emerging issue was that the children, there are also some schools that are on the ministry's radar, and according to the PS, these are some of the schools that they are being watched because, according to them, there are issues that there has arisen issues that they're trying to steal the exams, and these are 4 schools. We have 4 schools in Kisii, 5 in Meru, and 3 in Garissa. There are also plans to impersonate people in the exams, but according to the ministry officials, they hope that by the end of the year, when they mark the national examinations, then they will not have to cancel a school's results or a candidate's results. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Sharon Baranga, for that brief from the KICD grounds. And now let's cross over to Nuru Abdulaziz, who's been at the EACC's event, and the EACC was having a launch of the National Ethics and Corruption Survey, which has ranked the Interior Ministry as the most prone ministry to corruption. And this is for the second time in 2 years. And according to a 2017 report launched by the EACC, levels of corruption have decreased, recording 70.4% in 2017 compared to the 79.4% posted in 2016. Now, Nuru Abdulaziz with more on this. And what about the Interior Ministry makes it to score so poorly on accountability, Nuru?
Thank you very much. The survey had been conducted from the 18th of September. 24th of October, in which the Ministry of Interior has been mentioned as proving to be the most corrupt in the series of 2 years, and at a percentage that is at the corruption percentage as per now by 2016, according to 2017. 2017 is 70.4% from the 79.4% in 2016. Majority of the respondents, that is the survey that used more than 5,000 respondents, indicate that they will not engage in any activity of corruption in case or if they are given the opportunity not to. According according to the survey, corruption has been mentioned as a major problem facing Kenyans today, followed closely by poverty and lack of employment. 22.3% propose prosecution and jailing as a measure to deal with corrupt individuals. Others indicating formation of policies that will guide in the fight against corruption. The second ministry that has been following closely the Interior and Coordination Ministry is the Ministry of Health at 27.8%, followed closely by the Lands Ministry, which is at 23.9%. Media has also been indicated in that survey, indicating that 77% of the correspondents have indicated that the media has worked tirelessly to ensure that the fight against corruption is worked on. Thank you very much, Dan, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Nuru Abdulaziz, with that information. And we're seeing quite some interesting statistics there coming off the EACC's report. And like some may say, it's not a surprise that Kenya Police has been ranked the most corrupt and followed by the National Police Service Commission. Now, staying in terms of police and, you know, their performance, and 6 robbers were shot dead in Thika by police, and several others escaped with gunshot wounds. The robbers were shot in the premises of Sunvet Foods Limited in Makongeni area, where they were on a robbery mission. Kiambu Police Commander Ediel Nyange has asked hospitals in Kiambu and its outskirts to be on high alert for gunshot wounds patients visiting the facilities.
Sunvet Foods Limited, situated at Makongeni area in Thika town, played host to police and robbers exchange at 2 a.m. on Monday. 6 thugs, among them a 61-year-old man, were gunned down by police officers from Makongeni police station. The 6 were among a group of 20-man gang who had invaded the biscuit manufacturing company through this hole on the wall.
After drilling the hole, they entered and attacked the watchman. One of the watchmen was critically injured and the rest were tied. One of the gang and an unmanned shot a ballad weapon capable of firing.
After ransacking offices and stores, the robbers stole electronics and a number of cartons of biscuits. Police say yet to establish the value of goods the survivors made away with.
Among the things that they had stolen are the laptops, over 6, and then over 9 television sets, mobile phones, among other things, including the biscuits.
Kiambu County Police Commander Ediel Nyange has urged hospitals administrations to be on the lookout for any patient with bullet injuries seeking treatment.
As you treat, let the police know.
The bodies of the gunned robbers were taken to Thika Level 5 Hospital mortuary. Eunice Omolo, NTV.
The county government of Kericho has pledged to support coffee farmers in the county to obtain certification from the Kenya Bureau of Standards to enable them sell their products in the various supermarkets countrywide. The county has purchased an 8 million shilling roaster for the Kipkelion Union coffee mills to enable them to roast and package their coffee. The mill is mostly run by women who have launched a Women in Coffee organization and a range of products branded Zawadi Coffee and Kipkelion Union Coffee. The women called on Kenyans to increase their consumption of coffee to give the farmers the encouragement to grow more. Most of the coffee grown in Kericho is not processed within the county and is either exported raw or processed in Nairobi.
Taking cognizance of the work that women do to ensure the quality of coffee, you know, right from picking, they pick the correct ripe berry. From there they come to sorting. All this is actually the work of a woman. And for us to enjoy a cup of coffee, really it's also good to know who has made it be the good as we are enjoying, and that's the women. And so we should not just confine women to the cultivation of the coffee and picking and everything. They should be part of the decision making and understand the dynamics of the coffee sector.
All right, now in the county of Machakos in Katani, Raila Odinga is visiting there, and Kennedy Mureithi is live on location to give us an update of what to expect and what exactly is happening there. Kennedy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dann Mwangi there in studio. And yes, we are here at Katani where Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, the leaders of NASA who led them to the 2017 elections, are here to open a hospital. The hospital is called Katani Hospital, one of the private institutions where we do believe that they will be telling us more about that. But one of the things that we've heard about it is that it will even be having a CT scan. But to more pertinent issues, and we do expect that politics will be headlining the function here at Katani, coming just a day after DP William Ruto spoke yesterday in Kisauni and spoke of a matter whereby Raila is out to frustrate him and chase him out of Jubilee. But today morning we had Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho and Junet Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed, who spoke about this matter, and they are regarded as Raila's closest defenders. And they said that there is nothing like that. How can someone be chased outside their home? Quoting Governor Joho, he actually said that Jubilee is a 50-50 partnership. This is between Raila, this is between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. So how come he is going to away from that party? And we do expect probably Raila and Kalonzo will be speaking to this matter, because William Ruto has actually been saying that since the handshake took over, there has been a calculated scheme to muzzle him. And the referendum debate that has just been awoken with regards to what is going to happen, and the referendum debate that was spoken to even by James Orengo over the weekend, is that they are thinking that this referendum debate is actually a scheme or is just a smokescreen to what is going to happen. Probably they're thinking within Ruto and some of his allies, the thinking within Ruto and his allies is that there is a scheme to lock him out of the 2022 race. And whatever is happening at this particular time is a preamble to what they will be doing. Probably this debate about even Kipchumba Murkomen, the leader of majority in the Senate, was quoted as having said is that there is a scheme to add more positions so that as we go into 2022, Raila Odinga is going to have an easy run and get into government. You'll remember also President Uhuru Kenyatta was quoted by the Daily Nation one time as saying that there is no position in government for Raila Odinga. So what if this referendum debate, as they say, those within Ruto's circles say, is that they're going to be creating positions so that he is accommodated. So all this is the politics that we want to hear, and probably Raila will be speaking to this matter here in Katani. But at this point, we can only speculate, Dan, and we will be giving Kenyans news as we get it. Right now, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Kennedy Mureithi. Like he said, he's coming to us from the county of Machakos in Katani. Now, the Africa Export and Import Bank, that's Afrexim, has extended a $90 million US funding to the government of South Sudan to support the country's 2018-2019 budget. The two-year facility will be released through Nairobi-based trade and projects finance advisory firm Benchmark Solutions and will be prepaid from oil revenues. In August, South Sudan's parliament approved a budget of 81.6 billion South Sudanese pounds, which is about 58.4 billion shillings, for the 2018-2019 fiscal year, an increase of 75% from the previous period. The budget is expected to be partly financed by external creditors and donors. Let's cross over to the county of Kajiado back home, and Kajiado County Governor Joseph Olelenku says his administration will step in to help centers taking care of the children living with disabilities, urging locals not to hide their children anymore. Speaking in one of the centers in Kajiado, Lenku stated that he shall ensure disabled children access education and they shall conduct sensitization programs in the community in order to support the parents who have disabled children. In Maasai land, disability is associated with a curse to a family, and most parents end up hiding their disabled children in their houses. In the past, disabled children were killed and the family would thereafter undergo a cleansing ritual from the so-called bad omen. The center is home to more than 200 children living with disability.
We want to give you a support to know that you are not alone. Tunataka hao wapendwa, hii jeshi lako ambayo anasaidia hao watoto wasikie pia hata kaunti yao inawajali.
All right, and that is what's coming from the county of Kajiado, and you've seen that a number of cases of children who are left in vulnerable situations alongside even women, and the county government is looking to deal with that, and even those living with disabilities. Now let's get some business news. And Standard Bank, which operates as Stanbic Bank in Kenya, has joined the global UN movement He for She to champion gender equality. The United Nations Women He for She movement is gathering momentum globally as various leaders from both the public and private sectors join the drive and stand out as visionaries on gender equality. Standard Bank Group's CEO, I beg your pardon, Sim Shabalala, has become one of the global thematic champions in the He for She movement. These leaders have committed to implement game-changing policies and concrete actions towards gender parity. We now toss the ball to Warada Kiru to give us stories on Malacca Strikers and much more on our sports brief.
Yes, Dan, very good afternoon to you. It is time to play on NTV At One. I am Warada Kiru. I'm the national volleyball women's team. The Malacca Strikers has lost its second match in a row in the ongoing FIVB World Volleyball Championship, falling to Puerto Rico 3-0 of 20-25, 22-25 and 15-25. In the previous matches, the volleyball queens beat Kazakhstan in the opening match 25-22 and 25-21 before meekly going down 25-16, 25-9 and 25-8 to Serbia in their second match. The Malacca Strikers, who are targeting to qualify for the second round, will next take on defending champions Brazil and then conclude their preliminary matches against the Dominican Republic. Bringing it back home, under Amos Barkibir scored twice as champions. Kenya Police battled to down Green Sharks 3-2 on Sunday at the City Park Stadium and close in on leaders Butali Sugar Warriors at the top of the Men's Hockey Premier League. The victory saw Police consolidate their second place in the 12-team standings, bringing their tally to 39 points from 13 wins and 1 loss. Police face Strathmore University next weekend, an outing that will bring them at par with Butali, who top with 42 points from 14 wins and 1 loss. In the Women's Premier League, Audrey Omaido netted a hat-trick to help defending champions Telkom thrash Sliders 7-0. Lilian Aura, Jacqueline Mwangi, Caroline Gushu and Maureen Okumu were also on target. Now, it's a dream come true for some young children in the country, and they had to play football with a royal. A kickabout with a prince is what primary school children from Ole Maiso School enjoyed as Britain's Prince William took to the pitch during his visit in Kenya. The Duke of Cambridge, who handed out football jerseys from the British football club he supports, Aston Villa, missed 3 goals during a friendly kickabout before finally putting the ball in the back of the net. The prince, who is visiting the country in his role as a Colonel General of the Irish Guards, joined over 100 soldiers for military drills and inquired on the progress of their training for active duty. The Irish Guards are part of the British military personnel who train under the British Army Training Unit, Kenya, Batuk. And now from Royal, just enjoying a kickabout and not doing very well about it, let's go to professional footballers who actually know what to do with the ball. And AC Milan moved into the top half of the Serie A table with just the second league win of the season, beating host Sassuolo 4-1. Parma continued the impressive start to the season on their return to the top flight as ex-Arsenal forward Givinho scored the winning goal as they beat Empoli 1-0. Former West Ham Just beautiful women. And Veronica's Rose 1934 Rolls-Royce Bottle won the 2018 CBA Africa Concours d'Elegance at the Ngong Racecourse in Nairobi. The 34-year-old became the first woman in history to clinch the Concours car category title. This celebration of vintage is organized by Alfa Romeo's Owners Club and is open to makers of cars and motorcycles. It is the classiest event on Kenya Motorsport Federation calendar. The 20th edition was the 48th annual edition of an event that has grown to be a social occasion and a fun-filled family day. Let's indulge in some of the highlights. A lovely way to spend a Sunday afternoon, and a lot of fun was had. And if you're on social media, I know that just hashtag Concours 2018, and you've seen all the fun that was had. That should spot more updates in our subsequent bulletins. Done.
Thank you very much, Warode Kiru. And we take a short break on NTV at 1, but we'll be back right after this with more news. Welcome back to NTV at One. My name is Dann Mwangi. Now, from July to about October every year, millions of wildebeests make the perilous journey between the Mara and the Serengeti across the deadly Mara River, battling the tide and the waiting predators. This annual stampede is one of nature's most spectacular events. But now the mighty Mara River is on a fight for its life, and it's seemingly losing the battle. Now we assess the damage done on this fragile ecosystem, and that, if not urgently corrected, could spell the end for the eighth wonder of the world. Sheila Sendeo has the story.
For millions of years, I have been the theatre of one of nature's greatest wonders. Travelling from the verdant green escarpments in the freezing cold and through the fields of food to the scorched plains in the arid lands, lending a hand to two countries, millions of people, and an assortment of wildlife. I'm gentle, yet harsh. I flow in stillness and in disarray. I give life, but I also take it. People love me, my beauty, my power. But I don't think I can give anymore. I am tired, tapped. The battle to strap my soul has been won and lost. I am the Mara River, and I am dying. Every year between July and September, when the grass has shriveled and the springs are parched, thousands of restless wildebeests scan the air for distant scents of rain. From the broad grasslands of the Serengeti in Tanzania, the thousands of them rumble into the Masai Mara National Reserve, a crucial fortress of grass and water for that season. And on a dusty strip of road, hundreds of curious visitors take the rock-ribbed path leading to the Masai Mara Game Reserve, drawn to the hungry and thirsty nature's travelers. For the migrating animals, danger lies ahead. A good number of them fall to the predators. But the Mara River is another formidable barrier on their annual journey. They have to scramble down one bank and up another, battling the fast-moving waters and the predators that hide in them. For the visitors, this is the stage for what's routinely referred to as the eighth wonder of the world. But this year, something has been missing from the parade.
Kwa majina naitwa JJ Jackson Japit. I'm the general manager of Darpoi Tended Community Camp. Then the Mara was beautiful. The river was flowing like nobody's business. The river was so big. We used to see a lot of migration in the months of July till September. The water have gone down. Even in this season, many tourists never enjoyed a lot because the river is so, I don't know the way I can call it, small, or maybe the water is gone off.
We wanted to see the migration around the Mara River, but we can see crossing the river. Maybe the next time.
Joseph Teya works at the Sekenani camp as a ranger. He's been in the Mara for most of his life, and for him, the great wildebeest migration is losing its allure. What was once a great leap into the unknown is now a short, grateful hop across a mere winding belt of mud.
Mudata mimi amekuwa Mara, amekuja kuona changes ya Mara. Sababu samani maarifa ni maji ni mingi sana. Siku hizi tunaona maarifa maji yamekatika mara mbili. Kuona katikati ya maji ni mchanga tu unaonekana. Naona crossing mzuri sababu ya maji. Sio tu kuona ati sababu ngunu naruka nafuka laga. Ngunu wakiruka kuja kutoka Tanzania kuingia Masimara. Naona napita maji kubwa sana kwa nguvu mpaka naona tu nafurahia hata wakianza kuona crossing nafurahia. Lakini siku hizi tunaona Ngunu nafuka tu lakini hakuna maji mingi napita. Nakuja tu msuri sana nafuka tu polepole. Hapo wanyama anakanga kwa maji kama crocodile na hippo kwa Maribe. Bali kiangazi nakuja naona na kwa jua napika sana sababu hakuna maji ya kulalia.
The Mara River is a 395-kilometer long waterway connecting the Masai Mara with the Serengeti in Tanzania. It's one of the drainage basins that feed into the Lake Victoria. Conservationists now worry what's happening amounts to an ecological disaster.
Tourists always come here for migration mostly. And what is worrying most is that Mara River is going to its end. In the next 5 to 10 years we have no Mara River, neither tourists coming to this country. Masai Mara, what always brings the tourists is the migration. Because I suppose in Botswana there is lion, in Namibia there is lion, there is elephants, but the main thing that has made Mara to be much more famous is the migration that always took place from July to almost November. Very soon, if nothing will be done on an immediate effect, we shall cry as a country. It shall become a big shame for the children, generations to come, to be told we used to have Masai Mara and no more.
The answers to the riddle of the Mara's dwindling waters lie upstream. Up a treacherous terrain and onto the lofty peaks of the Mau forest escarpments.
People can see just through their naked eyes that Mara River is dying. Cutting trees everywhere, leaving the forest to be like a bear. You can't even believe how Mau forest look like.
The life-giving veins of the Mara River spring up from the Enapuyapui swamp at the heart of the Kiptunga forest block in the eastern Mau forest complex. The wetland is an amassment of reeds that act as a water reservoir, especially during the rainy seasons. But it's wasting away.
Venye tunaelewa hapa ndio source ya River Mara ni Enapuyapui. Sisi tukiwa watoto wadogo tunajua hapa sasa Enapuyapui hapa iwezi pitika. Hapa ilikuwa na maji mingi. Hapo kulikuwa na mashini ya maji, which means ilikuwa ina supply maji hapa Kiptunga forest kwa maafisa wa serikali wa Kiptunga. Wakati ya kiangazi inapokuja unaona maji inasonga mpaka labda inabaki tu kwa maji kidogo hapa mahali unaona. Lakini hapo zamani hata kiangazi yenye ilikuwa inakuja ina gani, ilikuwa tu inakuta iko na maji mingi sana.
The swamp was once surrounded by a fence of indigenous trees.
Usione Enapuyapui kama ni hapa tu. Hapa wote ilikuwa msitu. Mpaka huko chini kulikuwa na mianzi. Na ilikuwa inafuruta mvua hata kutoka Nakuru. Na ilikuwa inanyesha mingi kulika hata wakati. Saizi hii ni sosa.
The rising population of forest-dwelling communities is also one of the biggest threats to the forest and the wetlands within it.
Kitambo msitu ilikuwa mingi. Na watu hawakuwa wameishi ndani sana. Kulikuwa na watu tu hawa community ndio walikuwa wanaishi kwa msituni. Na wakati hiyo hawakuwa na biashara mingi kwa msituni. Walikuwa tu ni kufuga nyuki na kuyaka hiyo msinga. Na hata ulanguzi wa msituni hawakuwa wakati hiyo mingi. Venye saizi kwa saizi biashara imekuwa inaendelea kwa msitu. Venye watu wanaendelea kuishi msitu, venye maji inaendelea kwenda chini.
Nicholas Murero, the chairman of the Narok County Natural Resources Network, says in the last 20 years, more than a quarter of the forest has been decimated by human development, agricultural activity, and a booming trade in timber. The water that runs from it is now increasingly less in flow and much lower in quality.
The next 3 years, no Mara, hakuna Mara tena. Ukiangalia saa hii sehemu hizi misitu imekatakata sana. Kwa hiyo msitu kuna miti ambayo inahifadhi maji na kuna nyingine inakunywa maji. Ile imebaki ni ile ya kumaliza maji. Na tena sana kama ingewezekana wangepewa kukate karibu na source. Wangeenda mbali kabisa. Mbali na source. Inatakikana tupane indigenous tree kule. Kwa sababu hiyo msitu wa Mau si ya kupanda miti kutoka mbali. tujaribu kutafuta ile indigenous species ambayo imekuwa kwa hiyo msitu.
The Mao forest is the country's largest remaining indigenous forest and also the largest of the country's 5 water towers. But environmental experts estimate that between 1990 and 2001, up to 107,000 hectares of the Mao forest complex had been destroyed. By 2009, more than a quarter of the 400,000 hectare forest had been lost to the axe. And the plunder continues. More than 8,000 people were driven out of the forest in the first phase of the evictions. Now the second phase, targeting thousands more in the Eastern Bloc, looms.
Wanasiasa ndio wanaleta shida yote kwa sababu sidhani msitu wa Mao watu walikaa kazaliwa pale. Hakuna mtu ajui alitoka wapi.
The battle for the Mao has been as political as it has been environmental. Deep in the last swaths of trees that make up the Mao Narok is the conflict's latest flashpoint. Tensions have flared, the fires of confrontation have been lit, and violence has descended on the people living at the center of it.
Now you are hearing people say, you know, because people are fighting, let us put on hold the second phase of the evictions. That should tell you something. They said I'm a very small person, and it is true. But you know, only God is big. We're all human beings, isn't it? Yeah. What can they do to me? Maybe other than maybe do what? Sack me?
The smoke that swirls from afar is hardly a smoke screen for the unease that has been building up in pockets of the Mao forest. In the month of September alone, tens have been killed, many more injured in what has been referred to as a clash between communities. With the fires of a looming face-off between the government that insists forest glades have to be protected on one hand, and communities who've made homes in the thinning forest cover on the other have been lit. These families are among the 40,000 settlers targeted for eviction out of the 46,000 hectare Masai Mao forest, one of the 23 blocks of the Mao complex.
Those people have got no idea the kind of damage they are causing downstream, because there it rains almost all the year. They plant, they harvest, they plant again. They have got no idea. Whatever they are doing has got repercussions on other people downstream, including other countries. People are saying there's like clashes now in Narok. You wait until they start now fighting properly over resources, because they will. These people are herders, and the animals depend on water. Yeah, so we're just being wise. Yeah, and not being wise. If being wise is a bad thing, then I'm prepared to be called a bad person.
Many of the families have simply refused to leave. They claim to have genuine titles to the land within the forest.
You cannot say that title deed is illegal when the process of getting that title is not legal. At the end of the day, what you have is just a piece of paper. Can you honestly say that title deeds in that part of this county are doing what the title is supposed to do? And if they are not doing that, why are they not doing that? It's because they are not legal documents. Yeah, you cannot go to the bank and borrow money using those title deeds.
But a report by the Ministry of Environment, tabled in Parliament in August, details how government officials, politicians and other influential persons hived off chunks of the forest land and sold it to unsuspecting individuals. They irregularly increased the sizes of the group ranches far beyond into the forest boundaries.
Kama kuna wenzetu wa Masai ambao wameuza Mao forest, mimi nasema mwenyewe, kama ulijua umeuziwa na fulani kama ni Nicholas, kuja kwangu katiwa shamba yangu, sasa mimi ndio nikudanganyia mahali ifai, niambie sasa niko hapa na watoto, nikatie sehemu yangu, hakuna jingine.
The Masai Mara depends on the Mara River. The Mara River comes from Masai Mao. You mess up with the Masai Mao, there's no Masai Mara. There's no Masai Mara, there's no tourism. It's even going to affect Tanzania, not just Kenya. Yeah, so we have to be very careful about some of these issues. They've got serious security implications. Last year, in fact, for the last 3 years, there have been a serious drought in this place. Yeah, and even rivers dried up. People who carry out irrigation on the Wasonyiro River, and people who had the animals downstream began finding out what was happening with the rivers, and they were moving upwards. They were going to come face to face with those farmers in the Masai Mao, and there will be war. These are facts.
As the battle for the soul of the Mara rages, this lifeblood of the Mara Serengeti ecosystem is in its sunset days, and the odds are stacked against the species of this massive ecosystem. The wildlife here needs a vast dispersal area to survive seasons of drought, but these safe havens are fast disappearing.
Whenever now you go to the Mara, you can see many camps, these standard camps. And again, I think they have a problem. They drain sewages, and I think it can as well even affect the river.
The lodges have erected kilometers of electric fencing, cutting off traditional migratory routes and dispersal areas for wildlife. The wildebeest population has also declined, and even though they're not yet a threatened species, they are a keystone species, and a lot lies on their existence. But the signs are more ominous to the north of the Mara, where a smaller wildebeest migration from the Loita Plains has very nearly stopped. While the wildlife numbers decline, the resident human population is ballooning. Residents who complain about not benefiting from the Mara billions have resorted to charcoal burning and farming. And for a place that once was seemingly untouched by time, the environment is displaying symptoms of its mismanagement.
The first challenge is increasing pollution. Also, it attracts many tourists, such that the park will not accommodate a big number as such settlement. We used to have group ranches, but now it is individual lands. And also the increase of the mushrooming camps and lodges.
The strategic plan for the management of the Masai Mara National Reserve is still very much a draft document that was first put together in 2007 by the now defunct Narok and Transmara County Councils. But from the luxury camps and lodges, the appeal of the Great Crossing continues to draw in visitors. The constant revenue stream for the county government has at the moment and seemingly insulated the community from the harsh reality. According to the Narok County Development Plan 2018 to 2022, revenue from the Masai Mara accounts for 90% of the total revenue sources. Between 2013 to 2017, the county government made 5.8 billion shillings from the Mara. But the fleet of tourist vehicles haven't quite been getting the spectacle that they came for.
Actually, I think there is a lot of interference. So the crocodiles will also soon extinct on the banks of the Mara River, because before some years back there used to be so many. We used to know identified spots where you can go and maybe have a few of more than maybe 50 crocodiles, sunbasking in the same point, but not anymore.
We do have lots of repeat clients, and of course they see the changes. Masai Mara is being sold by word of mouth. If people come here and see, like after 2 years, they come and see Mara River is dry up. That's the same word got back to worldwide, and they'll go and say, don't go to Kenya, because I don't think there's anything else that you can see now. So let's go to Namibia, or let's go to Botswana or Tanzania. Serengeti is our neighboring country here.
In the interim, the crossing into the Mara from the Serengeti continues, even though there isn't much of a river to cross.
Hawa wanyama ni wa ajabu sana. Kama ujaenda pia kuweza kutembelea wakati wanavuka, ukiona kweli watu wanashinda siku mzima kuangalia watavuka saa ngapi, hata wakuli. Wengine hata wanalala karibu kwenye mto. Kabisa kulala siku mbili ili make sure ameona tu ikivuka.
But in the long term, the warning signs are out. Profound choices have to be made, as the great wildebeest migration isn't great anymore, and soon it will just be no more. Sheila Sendeo, NTV.
The Mara's Deathbed, beautifully written by Sheila Sindeo and amazingly shot by Eric Isinta. Good job to them, and give us your feedback on our social media platforms at NTV Kenya. Use the hashtag Mara Deathbed. Now, leaders from Trans Nzoia County are asking the government to offer better prices for maize farmers from the region considered as a grain basket of Kenya. Speaking at St. Agnes Catholic Church in Nyakinywa in Trans Nzoia County, Cherangany MP Joshua Kutunyi asked the government to buy a bag of 90 kilograms of maize at 4,000 shillings to motivate maize farmers. Last year, the government offered 3,200 shillings per 90 kilogram bag of maize. Currently, farmers are selling a bag of 90 kilograms of maize to brokers at 1,500 shillings, which is quite demotivating to them, they say. Kwanza MP Ferdinand Wanyonyi said paying and offering better prices for maize farmers was not an option to the government. He said they will next week meet Agriculture CS Mwangi Kionjori and deliberate on the matter. However, Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka said maize farmers would start receiving payment for maize delivered to the NCPB last year, starting today.
Bei ya mahindi wajue jinsi watatafuta pesa tununuliwe kwa shilingi 4,000 kwa gunia moja.
Wale wakulima wa mahindi walilia, waliongea kwa uchungu sana, na tukaelewa ni kwa nini. Na nashukuru kwa sababu nimesikia wamesema watalipa mahindi kuanzia kesho.
Now, if someone offered you the opportunity to become a coffee farmer, would you take it up? Especially if you're a young person. Now, if your answer is no, you're among the people who are being targeted in this year's World Coffee Day celebrations at the Kahawa Festival. The event, which is themed Coffee, Culture and Adventure, aims to promote local consumption of coffee and attract the youth into the business as well. There will be showcasing of different cultures and styles of brewing the beverage, as well as networking and links to potential mentors for young entrepreneurs willing to join the coffee business. Leaders from Baringo County held a two-day peace mission where they urged residents to coexist peacefully to foster development in the area. This comes in amidst efforts to relocate internally displaced persons who had run away from their homes after 11 people were killed in April last year. 1,000 IDPs camping at Eldume are set to be relocated back to Mukutani with the help of the county government.
As they look to their leaders with hope, this is what they are yearning for. They carry bitter memories of their homes being torched and having to sleep out in the cold at Eldume camp since April last year. They are now looking to return to their homes.
Dirisho kwamba sisi tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi watukufu wa Baringo County wameishi na amani. Ukiona tumeanza namna hii, hakuna mwisho. Tumeanza na tutaendelea hivi mpaka amani kamili itufikie.
There is still tension between the two conflicting communities of Pokot and Tugen. The Tugen feel like they have become the target while the Pokot are walking free without the police taking action.
Hakuna hamani kama Pokot iko na bunduki. Kabana, wacha kudanganywa na Pokot.
Peace Ambassador Rebecca Mutango urged the leaders to put their differences aside for the good of the people, as mothers and children are the most affected during the clashes.
Ndio tuweze kupeleka hii watoto shule. Ndio tuweze nasi kufanya maendeleo kwetu kama Wanakenya wengine.
The leaders toured the hotspots prone to violence from Kagirtiki and Yatia in North Baringo, Tangle Bay in Tiati, Mukutani, Arabal before concluding at Eldume IDP camp in South Baringo. However, Mochongoni MCA Kipruto Kimosop was skeptical, stating that there have been many peace meetings held earlier which did not bear any fruit. He called for transparency in efforts to restore peace. Helen Aura, NTV.
And that story by Helen Aura brings us to the end of NTV At One. And just a reminder that we've changed our programming in regards to the current affairs and news shows. NTV Today moves to 9 a.m. running through to 11 a.m. which then hands over to NTV Sasa, which will be running from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And ordinarily NTV Sasa would be running right now, but just I know most of you, some of you may be watching expecting to see NTV Sasa, but this ran in the morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And at 4 p.m. our bulletin is in Swahili, and it is NTV Alasiri, I beg your pardon. So be sure to join us for that, and be sure to stay with NTV through and through. So once again, 9 a.m. NTV Today, 11 a.m. NTV Sasa, 1 p.m. NTV At One, and at 4 p.m. we have NTV Alasiri. Have yourself a great afternoon.